Do you ever feel like there's just not enough time in the day for reading? Or perhaps you're struggling to fit reading into your busy lifestyle? Trust me, you're not alone, and it's just what we're going to be diving in today. We're going to explore 6 reasons why we struggle to find time for reading. From being too absorbed in our phones to figuring out a reading routine or just prioritizing other activities. This isn't about judgment, this is about understanding ourselves better. Plus, I'll share some tried and true techniques that we can try and implement to make more time for reading in our busy lives. We'll also chat with my friend Roxana, who balances reading with parenting. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Number 1, you're prioritizing other things. Now, I said in the start of this video that this is a judgment-free zone. So I'm not saying this because I think you should be prioritizing reading, I'm just saying that it's potentially true. It doesn't matter what it is. Playing video games, cooking delicious meals, hanging out with friends, spending time with family, drawing. If you're making other activities a priority, then you'll have less time for reading. Period. Now here's the thing, this may not actually be a problem. If you enjoy these other things and would rather not cut down on them, then of course reading doesn't make the cut. After all, you're spending time on the things that matter. In this case, reading isn't actually a priority for you, and that's okay. However, if you're not really enjoying some of the other things and you do want to add more reading into your life, then it might be time to make some changes. One thing that might help in this situation is to write down all the things you do with your time. You'll break it down into 2 columns. One will be the things you do that aren't responsibilities. Be honest here and include everything you can think of, including time wasters. And then the other column is things you do that are responsibilities. Your responsibilities likely can't be moved or reduced unless you can ask for help or assistance. But your non-responsibilities could probably do with looking at a little closer. Are there things in that list that could be in a different priority order, reduced or removed altogether to make room for reading? Number 2, you're spending a lot of time on your phone. First of all, no, I don't think spending a lot of time on your phone is necessarily a bad thing. After all, if you've had a hard day and you just want to do some mindless scrolling or look at some funny memes, then all power to you. However, if you find yourself in a vortex of scrolling where hours go by and all you've done is stare at a screen, then there might be something there. Now, I'm no stranger to this problem because I do it too. Sometimes I'll find myself scrolling through Instagram Reels for 30 minutes to an hour and I've not even realized it. It's not even our fault. These apps are designed to suck you in like that. But in reality, if you'd rather not be doing it and you'd rather be, say, reading instead, then something needs to be done. In my case, I've set an app blocker on my phone which doesn't let me open Instagram after I've spent 30 minutes on it in one day. It's pretty easy to bypass, but I think it works pretty well when the 30 minutes that I've set is up, my app screen goes black and white, and then after another minute, it shuts it completely, which jolts my brain out of that scrolling need so I can go do something else. For you, it might be worth doing something similar. I use the well-being settings built into my phone, but you might need to download an app if you don't have those. Either way, it's worth it, especially if you'd rather be doing anything else rather than scrolling. Number 3, you're going through some mental health struggles. If you're going through something right now, have in the past, or are dealing with something ongoing, I know full well that reading is probably the last thing you really want to be doing. There's no way around it. Reading feels like a really big ask when our minds are plagued with other things. I could say to you that once you start reading a book, your mind will clear at least a little, and it will help. But we both know that while that's true, it's not that easy. Picking up a book in the first place is difficult, or honestly, just not something you want to do. And that's okay. I believe that our reading lives work in seasons, where you might have years of avid reading and then years of nothing at all. Reading right now might feel impossible, but it may not always feel that way. If, however, you do want to try reading when you're not feeling all that well, there are a few things we can try. Lightweight, cozy, or easy to read books are there for you. Graphic novels are an excellent option that don't require a lot of commitment. Short stories are another great option if you want to try giving reading a go again. One thing I would recommend though is that you check the content warnings of each book you read before you read them, just to make sure they're right for you right now. The Storygraph in particular is great for this, so look up your books there. Number 4, you have children or family responsibilities. Look, I know this is a big deal for all the parents out there. Trying to find time for reading while you have children or family responsibilities is hard. But I'm not a parent, so I thought there was no better way to get some advice and go through the struggles of what it's like to try to read when you have children than to talk to my good friend, Roxana.
Can you share with me a snapshot of your life, and especially you as a parent?
I run an online business that helps people with social anxiety. I'm also a freelance writer and a sales trainer for a big automotive brand. So while all of that is happening in the background with the work, I also travel and I have 2 young kids to take care of. I used to consider myself an avid reader, and unfortunately I don't anymore.
So has parenting changed that for you?
Significantly, yes. So like I mentioned, I used to be an avid reader. I used to pride myself on how many books I read. During my pregnancies and post-birth, I had a lot of time to read. So I had a lot of audiobooks. It was the only way I could, get back into reading because I had a lot of long walks to go on. But as the kids got older, it just got easier to drop that habit, right? So I didn't go out for walks anymore. We moved internationally. And then we found that we had a neurodivergent child, which anyone that has a special needs child knows how much more there is to do during the day. And it was just hard to go into therapy, keeping him at home from school. And it just takes up so much of my energy that I had to take it away from reading.
Out of all the things you've tried, what has helped to keep up with reading?
I think I treat everything as a phase where, okay, this is just a phase I'm in my life right now. I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. They're very demanding. I have a lot of work on my head and it's okay. So I'm not going to beat myself over it because I know I'm doing everything I can in all areas of my life. But one thing that really helps is also to not compare myself to people that don't have kids, that are younger than me, that are in different fields of work, because I can't read 100 books a year, and stacking myself against people that do that is just, it's just unmotivating, and it makes me feel like, why bother? And I just have this hope that it's going to come back to me and I'll be able to pick it up in the next phase.
I think you will.
Number 5, you can't figure out how to slot it in. It doesn't matter if you have a busy work life, personal life, family life, hobby life. Trying to work out when to fit in reading into your schedule can be a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. It would be easy for me to share my reading routine with you and suggest ways to fit more reading into your life, but I would be a big old phony. I can't really give you realistic reasons for fitting reading into your life based on my experiences right now, because I have one very good reason for fitting reading into my life: this YouTube channel. I find the motivation to slot reading in whenever I can because I have this as motivation. I don't need to work out when I can slot it in because I just do it. For you though, finding where to fit reading into your life may be a little bit complicated and it might take a little bit of time, but if you want to do it, you will get there. Trust me. Before I started this YouTube channel, I may have read fewer books, but I found ways that worked for me. I read an ebook on my commute to work, which was about 20 minutes on the train. I read the same ebook on my lunch breaks. I then read in the evenings when I had nothing else going on. Even just a few pages was good enough for me back then. In general, I would get a lot more reading done if certain conditions were met. I'd read a lot while traveling because usually there's not a lot else that you do while you're traveling. I'd also read a lot on the weekends if we had no plans. Or honestly, I just read a lot if the book I was reading was really, really good. So while I can't really give you specific advice because you're an individual and have your own life, I can give you 2 things that you can bear in mind while you're trying to fit reading in. Try different things out. Try reading on your phone, reading in the minutes before bed when your partner is brushing their teeth. Try reading at lunch or for 30 minutes after work. Try things out and find out what works for you. And 2, find the type of books that you love to read. This might also take some time, but if you can find the types of books that you love, reading doesn't become a chore. It becomes something you're literally itching to do. And number 6, you're actually just not interested. Listen, if you keep saying you don't have time for reading and you've been doing it for years, then maybe you just don't want to read. Even if you used to love reading, you don't have to love reading anymore. You might prefer to play video games, watch films, TV series, knit, be in the garden, whatever else you do with your time. And reading is just not on your list anymore. Honestly, I don't think this is a bad thing. If you don't want to be reading but you feel pressured to read, don't read. If you don't read but you feel people will judge you for not being a reader, then you definitely shouldn't be reading. What you do with your time is nobody's business except yours, so keep doing what makes you happy. But these are just 6 reasons why you might not have time for reading anymore. Honestly, there are thousands more. So if you've ever struggled to find the time for reading or you're struggling right now, let me know why in the comments. And if you like this video and want more like it, check out the video on screen right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.